In this episode, I am taking you into my mind and showing you how I eat while traveling as a recovered disordered eater so that I can enjoy food, I can feel relaxed around it, and I can nourish my body so that I feel good, I have the energy to be fully present and enjoy my trip. So let's get into it. Welcome to the Live Unrestricted podcast, a show where you'll learn how to heal your relationship with food and your body so that you can focus your time and energy on more important things like your personal growth. I'm your host, Sabrina Magna, food freedom coach, and my mission is to help make your life happier and healthier without stress, overwhelm, or guilt about food. If you love the show, please do go out and share it. And if you're looking for support with your relationship with food, details about my programs are in the show notes. Thanks for spending time with me today. Now let's jump in. Welcome back to the Live Unrestricted podcast. Okay, so I got so many messages from you guys telling me how much you loved the episode about how I eat as a recovered disordered eater. And I had said, if you want more of these, please just let me know because I am more than happy to record more episodes like this. And you guys asked for more. So this is truly perfect timing because I am leaving for Sedona in a couple of days. So by the time that this gets released on Wednesday, I'm going to have been in Sedona for 2 days now, and I'm going for a week with some of my business girlfriends. If you know me, if you've been listening to the podcast for a while now, you know that I have just such a warm place in my heart for Sedona. It is basically part of my personality by now. I love it so much. It's so spiritual. The energy is just so strong. And my business girlfriends and I, we go and we create this little retreat for ourselves where we're spending a week there and we're just deep diving into where we're at and anything that we're struggling with, any blocks that we want to move through, that we want to get support with. And then likewise, we get to support each other through whatever they're going through as well. So it is just so beautiful and so important to my own spiritual journey, my own personal growth. So I'm going to be leaving in a couple of days, which means I will be traveling. And I know that traveling, vacations, especially with summer coming up as well, that can bring up some anxiety, some fear. Maybe in the past, traveling and going on vacation meant that it was becoming a free-for-all, or you would restrict leading into it and then binge the entire time, or you wouldn't be able to enjoy your trip because you are so consumed with fear around what you're eating or having to be in a bathing suit. There is so much that can come with traveling. And then you've got plane rides and long train rides or long car rides. And it's just your food can be very different. You're out of your environment. So I'm going to let you come into my internal world, into my crazy brain, but you don't want to be there for too long. Just a little glimpse of how I think, how I make decisions while I'm traveling, how I nourish my body so that I can come back from a trip and there's no getting back on track. There's no making up. It's just kind of regular. It's just the same. There's no big anxiety around it. So I'm going to bring you into my world. Now, before I get into that, I do want to share something personal that if you follow me on Instagram at Sabrina Magna Health, you will have seen that I shared this on my story and I got a lot of positive responses. So thank you all for sending me such beautiful messages of encouragement. And I'm going to share it here as well, because I know that you're going to be able to relate in some way, and I want to help you see how I'm moving through this. So basically, for the past couple of months, and I would say over a year at this point, it has been a while, I have been wanting to add video to my podcast. So I've wanted to film it and put it on YouTube and invest more of my time and energy into YouTube, because I get a lot of messages of people who wish that they could watch it on YouTube. And I know that there's just so many people who are on YouTube who may not find me through the podcast platform. And it's just about getting this message out there. And so I've been wanting to do that for quite some time now, and I haven't started, obviously, because there has been so much fear and so much resistance around it. I can notice the thoughts in my mind of all of the excuses, all of the reasons why this is not a good time, why this is not a good idea, why I should put it off into the future. All right, like there's all this equipment that you're going to get, and where are you going to film it? Because now I film it on my couch in my living room. It's just really comfy. I don't have to worry too much about the way that I look, or putting makeup on, or putting nice clothes on, or what the background looks like. I just kind of go and I start speaking. And then there's the whole side of it being that is a whole new platform that I am not used to at all. I don't know anything about YouTube. So there's a lot to learn. There's a lot of unfamiliar. And then on top of all of this, there's the added layer of like, what if it all fails? What if I invest all of this time and energy into learning, into putting myself out there, and no one watches and no one cares, and it fails? And I'm just being honest with you. Like, that is what's coming up for me. And I decided maybe last week that I want to at least start putting it into motion. And so I thought, if I share it and if I put it out there and I really commit to it verbally to other people who aren't Luke, then I'm going to start taking small actions towards making it happen. And so here I am sharing it with you, and I'm going to be bringing you on this journey with me, because this isn't about YouTube. This isn't about whatever this means to me. This is about me getting out of my perfectionism of thinking that it needs to be amazing before I can go and put it out there, of thinking that I need to have it all figured out before I can get started, of listening to the excuses in my mind and just saying, hey, just because I'm thinking this way, just because I'm thinking I'm not ready, I have so much going on, I have no time, I'm busy, summer's coming up. Like, when you decide or you start contemplating the idea of doing something that is important to you, that you know is meant for you, and in your case, this might be healing your relationship with food, or your body image, or going to therapy, or working on your anxiety. Like, I know there's something in your life that you want to work on, that you want to improve. And when you start contemplating, or especially if it requires you investing either time, money, energy, and like any kind of sacrifice, that is when the voice in your head, the fear, the self-doubt, the excuses, that's when it will get the absolute loudest. I will never forget when I invested in my first ever business coach years and years ago, and I had never invested in myself. I was new to business, and that business coach was $10,000. And at that time, I was serious about starting my business, and I was starting to take action, but it was all like downloading free PDFs and watching free workshops. And like, if I am really honest with myself, I was half committed. I was half committed in the way that like, oh, well, if I'm not spending any money on myself and I'm just kind of dabbling around, then it's pretty low risk and I don't have that much skin in the game. And then when I was presented with this opportunity to work with a business coach who would help me make my goals a reality, and actually require me to step out of my comfort zone and be visible and take action. And as a result, I would need to invest money into it. That's when the fear and the self-doubt and the voice got so loud. And I was able to hear it because the excuses I was making for myself were so ridiculous that I had to pause and be like, what is going on? I remember, I think I had my call with my business coach like August 21st or 22nd, and my birthday is August 26th. And I remember one of the excuses I was making for myself was, well, my birthday's coming up. I can't invest this money. I can't start this program. My birthday's coming up. I have to plan that. And this is really funny for a couple of reasons. Number one is my birthday is one day. Number two is this program was like 3 or 4 months. This wasn't like a week-long sprint. And number three is I don't do something big for my birthday usually. And I did not do something big for my birthday at all that year. So when you can recognize that the excuses and the thoughts that come up, they're your fear. And you don't have to listen to them. And the reason why I want to get started slowly but surely, and like I said, I'm going to talk about this more and I'm going to bring you into my world. And I've already started making these really small, tiny changes and moving forward. But I'm always going to be busy. I'm never going to feel ready. I'm always going to have a lot on my plate. Like all of the reasons why I shouldn't do this now, they will exist 6 months from now and they will exist 2 years from now. Like we think that there's going to be this time where life just magically slows down and that your plate just magically empties. And look, I want to say just a caveat. Of course, there will be times in your life. Let's say you're going through chronic illness or a loss in your family or a loss in your job. Like there will be those acute periods of time where it genuinely is not a good time. But it's important to be honest with yourself about if that's the actual reality or if it's just your fear and your self-doubt talking, trying to procrastinate and put it off into the future because it's going to be hard and it's going to be uncomfortable and you're going to have to risk a lot and there's the possibility of failure. So all this to say, I'm going to start slowly but surely, imperfect, and I'm going to let you in on some of the things that I'm doing and thinking and how I'm moving through it. So coming back to the topic for today's podcast, how the heck do I eat while I am traveling so that I can still enjoy food, especially if I'm going somewhere cultural? Like Sedona, it's not really a food scene, but I remember when I went to New Orleans, I was so excited to try all of the different types of foods, or same with going to Italy or going to France, like places that are really known for their food scene. You want to be able to enjoy the food, and sometimes the food is going to be a little bit more fatty or a little bit more fun foods. So you want to be able to enjoy that while still feeling good in your body, while still nourishing your body, because when you're traveling, it is a lot of energy expenditure and you're doing a lot. It can be quite dysregulating for your nervous system. Like, although it is really fun and sometimes it can be relaxing, just traveling, like it requires a lot from you. You're out of your environment. So it is important to make sure that your body's needs are getting met so that you have energy, so that you can be present, so that you can feel good if you're walking a lot. So there are some things that you do want to remember. So the first thing that I want to say is leading up to a trip, what I used to do is I would become hyper aware of my body, especially if it was a trip that was going to mean that I'm wearing shorts, I'm wearing a bathing suit, and my body is going to be really visible. So I would become really hyper aware of my body, and I would start to think, okay, I need to cut down so that when I'm on this trip, I can feel good about myself. I can feel more confident being in a bathing suit or being in shorts. And I would become really hyper-focused on what are other people going to think about my body. Now, things are really different. Yes, I will be in a bathing suit for the first time in months because I have not been in a bathing suit all winter here in Montreal. And if there is ever a tiny thought that comes into my mind about what am I going to look like? Are people going to have anything to say about my body? Immediately, it does not get very much attention from me because I can stop myself. And I've done enough work on my body image that I can recognize what I'm thinking and I can remind myself of what is actually true. And the actual truth is that, number one, people are never paying attention to your body as much as you are paying attention to your own body, because you are so hyper-focused on your own body, but everyone around you is hyper-focused on their own bodies. Like, it's just a natural human thing that we think that because we are paying attention to ourselves, then everyone else must be as well. But everyone else is their own main character and everyone else has their own insecurities. So that's the first thing, is that we think that people are paying attention to us so much more than they actually are. The second thing that I remind myself is that even if my body looks differently, if I gained weight over the winter, which again, I don't know if I did, I don't weigh myself, and body image and the way that your body looks fluctuates on a day to day. So one day I can look in the mirror and be like, oh, okay, I'm looking a little more full. And then there's other days where I'm like, wow, I look great. And so that's another thing, is like my body is going to fluctuate from one day to another. And no one notices these small fluctuations in your body like you notice it about yourself, because you hyper focus on your flaws. You hyper focus on the difference of how your body looked yesterday versus how your body looks today. So it is just such a waste of my time and my mental energy to think that other people are going to be thinking about that the entire time. And if they are, if you happen to have people in your life that you're going on a trip with who will say something about your body, who make you feel insecure, I want you to remember that no one with a healthy relationship with their body would ever say something about someone else's body. And I will stand by this. I will die on this hill, that no one with a healthy relationship with their own bodies will ever say something about someone else's body, because you can only see in others what you see in yourself. And so if there is people who are making comments about your body, then have compassion for them. I know that is hard, but recognize that they're going through their own stuff and they are projecting that onto you, and you don't have to carry that. What someone else is going through, what someone's unresolved issues are, you don't have to take that on. And so someone can say something and you can recognize what it's actually about, and you can give that back. You can say, I'm going to create this energetic bubble around myself, because what is the most important is that I enjoy myself. I feel at peace. I feel joy. So those are some of the things that I really remind myself of. And then the last thing when it comes to body image, and this is probably the most important one of these all, is I know what would happen if I were to hyper-focus on my body and to restrict in order to feel good about my body going into this trip. I've done it enough times to know what happens. And I know that you have done it enough times to know what happens, which is you restrict and maybe you lose 5 pounds. Maybe you restrict a lot and you lose 10 pounds. And you go into this trip and you feel super deprived and maybe very hungry and maybe really restricted. And then day 1, day 2, maybe you feel good in your body. You feel good in your bathing suit. But because you've restricted so much, you have this hyper desire for food, maybe this hyper desire for drinking, and you end up overeating and not listening to your body and not eating in a way that feels good. And then by day 3, you don't feel good in your body anymore. So, like, what was the point of restricting for that entire week if by the time you're like halfway through your trip, you don't feel confident and you don't feel good in your body anyways? And then you just keep overeating and keep feeling like this free for all of, okay, well, at this point, I'm on vacation, so might as well just like enjoy myself and not give an F. And then I will get back on a diet when I get back. It's just not worth it. So that is one thing to remind yourself of. Now, I'm going to take you through, let's say, my travel day. So my travel day, I usually fly quite early. And so I will bring a breakfast with me most of the time. So I'll usually bring like a peanut butter jelly sandwich or a banana with it, a protein shake, something that is going to be really substantial. And as I talked about 2 episodes ago in the How I Eat as a Recovered Disordered Eater episode, I mentioned that breakfast is so very important for me to make sure that it is well balanced, it is substantial, it gives me the foundation that I need to have a good day. Because I can tell you that the days where I don't have a substantial breakfast that nourishes my body, I am tired, I'm not focused, I get very, very hungry later on in the day, I get rebound hunger. It's not a good situation. So the reason why I like to bring my own breakfast is because I personally don't love the options that are available at the airport. I don't love like getting a breakfast sandwich. It just feels a little greasy for me, and my stomach doesn't love very greasy food. And I also don't want to pay like twice as much for a little breakfast sandwich. So I just rather bring my own stuff. Then what's really important for me when I'm traveling, whether it's in a car or in a train or in a flight especially, is to have more food than is needed. So I will bring a lot of different snacks, protein bars, nuts, crackers, fruits. Like, I like to bring more rather than less, because I hate the feeling of being starving and not having good options to eat. It stresses me out. It doesn't feel good. I don't like traveling and being really hungry. And I find that I get extra hungry while I'm traveling, while I'm flying, probably because it's quite dysregulating for my nervous system. And then there's like, I'm bloated, and I know that when I'm traveling, it is really important that my body, at least my nutrition, is where it needs to be so that I can feel good, because I'm tired, my body aches. Like I said, my digestion is a little crazy because of like the different pressures and flying. So at least what I can control and what I can help myself with is feeding my body. I also make sure that I bring foods that I'm really excited to eat. Like, if I have just a bunch of unsatisfying protein bars, plain nuts, that's not going to be really fun for me to eat. I want to have some things that are going to be more exciting. So whether that's fun crackers, or I will bring myself a bag of candy or a chocolate bar, like small things that are going to give me that satisfaction, because that's important as well. Now, I'll usually have connections, or if it's a direct flight, when I land, I want to get a big real meal into my body. So if it's a connection, I'll get like a big filling sandwich or a big bowl. Same for if I've just landed, like I want to get some nutrients and a real meal into my body. What I used to do is, especially if there was like a time difference, it would warp my mind, and I would still try to eat the same way that I would eat back home without recognizing, one, that I've gained 3 hours in my day, two, that when I travel, I just need more food. I am hungrier. And so I wouldn't listen to that. and I wouldn't listen to my increased hunger and I would just starve myself. I do not do that anymore. And if I need to eat a full extra meal, which means I have breakfast, I have lunch, I have early dinner, and then I have a second dinner. If I need to do that, if that's what my body is asking me for, I will listen, especially because this comes back to I know that traveling, it's a lot on my body. Affects my sleep. It affects my back pain. It affects my mood. It affects my digestion. So the least I can do is to make sure that I am feeding my body enough food as much as it needs. So that's when it comes to my travel day. Now, when I am just going about my day, I have mentioned this before that I don't care that much about breakfast, what it tastes like. I just want to start my day off well. So I don't love going out for breakfast or going out for brunch. Like if I'm going to go out for food, I would rather do it for lunch and for dinner. It's just a preference of mine. And this goes back to what I'm saying is a preference of mine. How I like to do things does not mean that this is how you need to do things. But I like to have breakfast at home when I'm traveling. So we'll go to the grocery store, we'll get some bread, some eggs, some avocado, maybe definitely some fruit on the side, some bacon, like whatever we need. And we will have breakfast at home. I love doing that. And one thing I want to mention is that I usually eat the most out of my friends. I have mentioned this before that I need a lot of food. And so I don't experience any kind of discomfort or insecurity about the fact that if I need to have 3 slices of bread and everyone else is having 2, or I need to go for a second plate, I don't feel weird about it because I know my body and I know that if it's asking me for more, it's just going to get more. And I'm not concerned about what are other people thinking, because if there are other people thinking, oh my God, she's eating so much, or they're judging me or they're criticizing me, going back to what I said about body image, that's their stuff. And luckily, this is not anyone in my life. But for you, if you're going back for more because that's what your body's asking you for, or if you need to eat more than the people around you, and you feel secure and confident that those are the needs of your body, and other people are judging what's on your plate, other people are making comments about how you're eating, that is their stuff. That is not yours to take on. No one with a healthy relationship with food will make a comment about how you're eating. You can only see what is in others, what you see in yourself. So then when it comes to lunches or snacks or going out for dinner, it really depends on what we're doing that day. But I love a good sandwich for lunch. There is just something about things that are between bread that is so satisfying for me. So I love going for a good sandwich. If I can have a salad on the side, if it's a possibility, I'll do it. But there's going to be days where I just don't eat vegetables, and it is not the end of the world. I used to have this belief and this fear that I need to have fruits and vegetables at every single meal. And the reality is that I make an effort, and 80% of the time I have my fruits, I have my vegetables, but I don't freak out about the days where I don't. It doesn't mean that it was a bad day or that I've ruined my day or that I did something wrong. It just means that I'm human and that there are some days where I just don't have vegetables or fruits that day. And it's not a big deal. It's not going to affect my health. And this is something I tell my clients and I repeat all the time. One day of eating, 1 week of eating, even 1 month of eating is not going to destroy your health in the long term. So much of the fear that we have is that we make a big deal out of something that doesn't need to be made a big deal. If you eat differently on one day, or if you eat differently for an entire week because you're traveling, for example, that's okay. If you imagine that you take all of the food that you have ever eaten and will ever eat in your entire life, it's like thousands and thousands of meals and snacks, like probably 100,000 meals and snacks. And you were to place it all in front of you on a table, and you think about what that one day or that 1 week of eating represents, it is such a small, tiny percentage. So I'm talking to those of you who you probably eat relatively well. Maybe there's some control or rigidity at home. And then when you travel, things are different, or you get really nervous that you're not going to be able to eat in the same way that you do at home. That's okay. It's normal. You probably will eat somewhat differently. And what matters more is just listening to what your body is asking you for. So I have had experiences where I remember when I went to England with my best friend. I was there for a week. And if you've been to England, you know that vegetables are not in abundance there. Like when you go out for lunch and dinner, finding a lot of fresh vegetables is not super easy. And so I remember by the end of that week, my best friend and I were craving, like needing fiber, needing nutrients in our bodies. And so we were looking for it. And it wasn't because, oh my God, I haven't eaten vegetables in so long, I'm destroying my body. I could just feel that my body needed it. It was asking for it. So that's another thing, is I don't have to create a rule around I need to prioritize this. I need to have more vegetables, more fruits. I genuinely just want it because I love the taste of freshness. And if I haven't had it, I miss it. So it's easy for me to seek it out. And if there's one day where I have a sandwich for lunch and I have a pizza for dinner, which also happens, then the next day I will most likely just be craving a bowl or a salad. It's not like this mental checklist or this mental balance book of I ate this way yesterday, therefore I have to eat this way today. It is just a intuitive thing that, okay, today I'm craving more of something fresh and something that's more nutrient dense. I also make sure that I always have some snacks on me. So I like to do a grocery store run at the beginning of a trip and to stock up on some protein bars and some things that I can have on the go, because you never know how the people that you're traveling with will want to eat, or how often they'll want to eat, or if they'll want to stop for snacks. So having that on me can be just really helpful, because if someone has a smaller appetite, that's okay. I can just have my snack and that's going to hold me over until the next meal. I also recognize when I'm traveling that I'm going to be going out to eat more often than I am at home. Most of the time, I'm going out to eat once or twice a day. And that used to stress me out so much, because I had, and there's so much messaging around what people put in restaurant food and the ingredients in it, and how there's so much more fat and so many more calories. And there is some truth to that. But the thing is that I typically will seek out more quote unquote healthy restaurants. Like, I don't love stopping for fast food. Again, it just doesn't feel great in my body. It just doesn't really feel worth it. But sometimes I really crave it. Like sometimes I'm feeling a crispy chicken sandwich. So if I do, I go, but that's quite rare. And when we go out to eat 2 times a day, I again will just choose based off of what I am feeling. And so sometimes I will choose the salad. And it's just like, it's a salad. There's vegetables, there's sources of fat, there's sources of protein. That's just the way I see it. I don't think about, oh my God, all of the ingredients in it or how many calories are in it. I just see it as, okay, wonderful. There's vegetables, there's protein, there's carbs, there's fats, there's what I need to feel full and satisfied. And if that is a higher calorie meal, the thing is that it just means it's going to fill me up for longer. If it's a bigger meal, then I'm probably just going to not need to eat my afternoon snack, or I'll be hungrier in a longer period of time. Your body balances out. And when you have a bigger meal and you have learned enough how your body works and you have learned to trust it and you've learned to listen to it, you will notice that you might feel less hungry for the rest of the day. But if you move a lot, if you walk a lot, then you might feel just as hungry later on in the day because you used that food, you used that energy for the walking, for the physical activity. And so there is this internal balance that happens when your metabolism is working properly and you are nourishing your body and you are using that energy. And so there is not this fear of, oh, I've had a really big meal, and so how is that going to affect me later? I just know that it's all going to balance out in the long run. And if I do end up gaining weight on this trip, which again, I wouldn't know because I don't weigh myself. But if I do come back from a trip feeling a little extra bloated, which does happen, not necessarily because of what I ate, but because it's quite dysregulating for my nervous system, as I've mentioned before. There's a lot going on. I'm out of my environment. There's a lot of stimulation at airports or when you are sitting for long periods of time in a car or in a train or however you travel. There's a lot of change and it's very destabilizing for your body. So as a result, your body might hold on to more water weight and your digestion might be a little off and you're not necessarily getting the same level of sleep and same quality. So there's so much that can go into how you feel coming back from a trip. And I know for myself, I do not feel good coming back from a trip. I feel in so much pain because I have to sit for long periods of time and my back does not love that. And I am tired. I am so tired coming back from a trip. And it takes me a couple of days to really feel like I'm back to being regulated and being myself. And I know that about me. And so when I come back from a trip and I feel bloated and I feel exhausted and I feel in pain, I will just know what I need to do to take care of my body. So I'm not going to do a hard workout the next day or the day after that. I usually ease back into my life. I'll go for casual, gentle walks. I'll do some stretching. I'll make sure that I let myself sleep in. I will drink a lot of water. I usually won't plan a bunch of social things when I get back because my nervous system needs some regulating and coming back to a sense of groundedness. And I will eat in a way that feels good. I will crave vegetables. And I know what my nervous system needs in order to feel like I'm back to being home again. And so there is not this compensating of, I feel bloated, therefore it means I've gained weight, therefore it means I need to burn it off and I need to exercise more. I look at everything through a nervous system lens. And when I've just gone through stress and my cortisol is high, again, even though traveling can be fun, it can also be stressful. I will not go and put more stress by exercising more or trying to get back to rigidity. I want to embrace slowness and calm and doing things that are really gentle and soothing for my nervous system. And even speaking of your nervous system and what it's like to travel, if you would like, you can send me a DM again, and I can do a full episode on how I tend to my nervous system while I am traveling. Because the thing is, most people don't think about this at all. And so you are often around people constantly. If you're traveling with your family, you've got your kids, you've got your partner, maybe you've got aunts and uncles and your parents and your siblings that you're always around. That can bring up a lot of old wounds. You can be around people who are challenging, who are triggering, and that can be a lot for your nervous system. And people don't really pay attention to that. And so you end up being in this chronic state of stress, low-grade stress, and that will, of course, lead you to seek food out, to be more critical towards yourself, to turn to activities and to behaviors to make yourself feel better and to soothe your nervous system. And so I can talk on, because this would be a whole other conversation around what I do to stay regulated, to stay mindful, to stay intentional, to stay present so that I can feel like I am really thinking clearly. I am making a decision from a place of groundedness instead of from a place of activation. Because when you are dysregulated, when you're in that state of survival, you're going to say things that you don't want to say. You're going to get in arguments. You're going to feel more on edge. And overall, your relationships are going to be a little bit harder to navigate. So being able to travel from that nervous system safety is just going to make everything feel more manageable. So that's, in a nutshell, how I eat while I'm traveling. Like I said, if you want me to do more episodes and if you have any questions around specific situations that I did not get to cover, whether it's when you're traveling or when you're at home, let me know. You can either send me an email at info@sabrinamagnan.com and ask me a question, or you can send me a DM, which is usually easier, and ask me to talk about something, and I can absolutely see if I can do a podcast episode on it. I love you so much. If you are someone who is traveling in the near future, think about some of the things I shared in this episode. If you need, write them down. Write down things that you need to remind yourself of, things you want to focus on, what your intentions are, and send me a DM to let me know what your biggest takeaways were, because that's going to help you remember them. That's going to help make it more concrete in that beautiful mind of yours. So I love you. I will be thinking of you while I'm in Sedona. I will try my best to post pictures and share some stories on Instagram, but I do want to try to spend some time away from my phone as well. So I'll try to find that balance, but have a wonderful rest of your day. Thank you for listening, and I will see you on the next episode. Thank you so much for listening to today's episode. If you found it valuable, I would love if you would share it with someone you know that could benefit. If you're loving the show, don't forget to subscribe over on Apple Podcasts so you don't miss a single episode. I really love hearing feedback from you, so please leave a rating and review over on Apple to help us get in the ears of more people who need it the most. Finally, come hang out with me on Instagram at Sabrina Magna Health for more educational content and get up close and personal with me. Thank you so much for being here, and I'll see you on the next episode.